Okay. Alrighty. So again, I'm part of the advocate side. I believe that we should legalize prostitution in brothels. Alright, so my opponent stated that that STDs pretty much can't be reduced and can't be controlled in brothels. But according to Brent's Violence and Legislation Brothel in Nevada, examining safety, risk, and prostitution policy, they state that even today, analysts often see brothels as safer alternative to policies that criminalize prostitution. So yeah, maybe that it would be a little bit harder to regulate STDs, but it's always going to be safer to be in a brothel. Also, to continue, in Prostitution and Sex Trafficking by Louis Girard, they state that brothels would have reputations worth protecting. Brothels don't want prostitutes that have STDs and STIs, so they will make sure that they wear condoms. They will make sure that they're routinely tested and whatnot. They also, to continue, in Albert's AE, validating condom use and clients' commercial sex in Nevada's legal brothel, a lot of men are, well actually, 2.7 initially refused or were reluctant to use condoms. That's such a minuscule amount of people that refuse if the prostitute asks them. And then out of those, 94% of them voluntarily used condoms after they were verbally persuaded by women. And let's just say one of the men was becoming violent or really wanted to not use a condom. Many brothels suggest that, or actually many brothels in Nevada have extra security. And according to the Violence and Legislation Brothel Prosecution in Nevada, they have call buttons. And pretty much what these are in every single room, they have a call button just in case somebody got violent, they didn't want to use a condom, they were using any men doing something the prostitute didn't, they would call the managerial area, they would call whoever was there so they could come in and escort them out. Let's see. My opponent also said that violence won't decrease. He also stated that pimps were where the violence came from. If prostitutes were working in brothels, they wouldn't be having a pimp. Also, in the same article by Barbara Brentz, one woman told us that brothels allowed her to sever ties with her abusive pimp. So many of these brothels kind of have an escape for prostitutes that are in a violent relationship with their pimp or someone who is abusing them. My opponent also continued, to continue that idea on pimps and how they're violent and it won't decrease violence. In the Prostitution and Sex Trafficking, they state that the sex industry is where workers are illegal and can least defend publicly their right to their jobs and take stands against their employers. When they're working, they could stand up against their employers. They can tell them, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. They are legally allowed to do that, and they have the law on their side. Whereas if they tell their pimp, I'm not going to do that, I don't think their pimp is going to be very happy about that. They're going to, and that is where a lot of the violence comes from. And finally, on violence, within the brothels, 21 out of 25 prostitutes responded that in a survey that they agreed with the phrase, "My job is safe." None of the, so yeah. A lot of them don't see the brothels as being violent. A lot of them don't see that being in the streets is safer. Let's see. Also on what my opponent said as for Germany, they didn't have any evidence on saying that Germany does not tax them. They didn't provide any evidence on that. And they didn't also provide any evidence that any of the prostitutes are beat in brothels. Thank you.